todos. Creo que ahora sí, ¿no?
Many surgeries.
Buenas tardes a todos, bienvenidos. Mi nombre es Izabel Alfany, soy directora general de EIT Health España y estoy aquí para moderar la mesa de estos grandes expertos ahora a partir de la tarde que tendremos en el ámbito de la adopción de la innovación. Cambiaremos hacia el inglés, ya que tenemos invitados de fuera, y entonces yo creo que así será más dinámico, ¿no? Todo que tenemos que explicaros. Empezaré presentando a cada uno de ellos y entonces ya dando paso a la conversación que espero que sea muy dinámica esta tarde. So, welcome. Here I have, from my right and to the left, I have Dr. Furio Gramatica. He's Director of Development and Innovation of Gnocchi Foundation in Italy, where he formerly managed technological research and founded the Laboratory of Nanomedicine and Clinical Biophotonics. Previously to this, he spent several years at CERN in Geneva and in high-tech companies with research, development, and innovation management roles. He has 20 years of experience as an expert for the European Commission in the field of health technologies. His current research interests are focused on models of cooperation between parties involved in the ecosystem of health technologies and in value-based healthcare. Welcome, Furio.
Thank you very much.
We have here also sitting in the left of Furio, Santiago Ruiz. Dr. Santiago Ruiz de Aguiar, Díaz-Obregón, has been worked at HM Hospital since 2008. Holding positions in medical management and as territorial director of the Comunidad de Madrid. Likewise, he has also worked in other companies in the health sector, such as AstraZeneca, as Adeslas, and MSD Spain. Within HM hospitals, he is responsible for operations within the territory of Madrid and for the implementation of new business models in the health environment with a focus on the development of new technological tools at the service of patients, professionals, and processes. Welcome, Santiago. Last but not least, we have Dr. Françoise Charbit. She is European Affairs Senior Advisor at CEA, Technological Research in France, in charge of public-private innovation partnerships and collaborative research projects in health tech. Her main objective is to create value through efficient connections, road mapping, and collective actions between researchers, industry, and particular SMEs, and innovation policymakers. She's involved in several collaborative projects in medical technology and AI for healthcare, also involving European regional cooperation. She built a strong experience in large collaborative projects such as Digital Europe Program, AI tests and experimental facilities, Horizon Europe Cluster Health, IPSE, which means Important Projects of Common European Interest, Interreg Europe, and others European initiatives. Welcome. And first, before opening the floor for some specific points, I would like you to dedicate 2 minutes for explaining about your institutions and why you are here as experts for adopting the innovation, before we enter into some examples of projects. And if I may, I will start with you, Françoise. Maybe it's a bit further from hospitals, so I think it's a good relative.
No. Does it work? Yes,
no.
It works. Sorry. Yes, I'm the person who represents the public research here. So we haven't talked too much about the public research, but I'm coming from a public research institute that is very big in France, that is the CEA. It's about 21,000 researchers in all fields of research, and I belong to the technological research division that is really involved in the relationship with industry, how to transfer our innovation towards the industrial world. And we consider that we are always in a public-private partnership every day. So it's also something that I will show you regarding health care. We are much more involved now in healthcare than it was by the past, because we have on this big institute, we have a smaller institute that is still 1,900 researchers involved in miniaturization technologies, microelectronics, photonics, medical device, and all the components that are going to develop the digitalization of healthcare are in this division. So we dedicate full-time researcher to 150 people developing the future medical technologies. And we are working very closely with the hospitals, of course, and we have ourselves a biomedical center that includes a clinical facility to implement our technologies in neurotechnologies, that is, technologies that go inside the brain. That is for the moment.
Yeah, I would say a good view, and from this perspective of developing technologies and then transferring into the system. Great. Then I'll pass the word to Furio, if you could introduce a bit the Gnocchi Institute.
Sure. The Gnocchi Foundation is a privately held foundation with 80 years old, and holds 30 hospitals in 9 Italian regions, plus 45 clinics on the territory, plus patients at home, some thousands of patients at home. So it's quite big. It's fully devoted to rehabilitation and long-term care. That is, we do not have surgery and we do not have emergency room. Aside that, we have the whole continuum of care. We have 6,000 people working in it, more than 4,000 beds, and the number of access of patients every day is around 10,000. That is 3.5 million a year. Patients coming in our institutions. So the numbers are quite big, and that's why from the beginning I mean at the beginning I was not born, but even the founder thought of transforming our hospitals in center of research as well. And that's why we also have an institutional part of clinical and preclinical, clinical and technological research, and research on managing the innovation and providing innovation models at European level with people like them, and with the Commission.
Great.
And then you asked us why we are here. I don't know. It's just because you know me, probably.
And I know that you are a great expert in innovation adoption, that's why.
No, and then even in the Gnocchi Foundation, I'm a bit strange animal because by training I'm a particle physicist. So I like simulations and I like modeling, and that's why I am the director of innovation there, because we want to be sure that the innovation do not waste time and public money and private money at the time of the families and the time of the patients. So we want to be a little bit more sure beforehand.
Nice. No, yeah, and it is important because we see several projects that are funded, are executed, and then it finished.
In nothing.
Completely. So it's important to keep on with the development and implementation. Santiago, please. HM are more familiar, I guess, for the public here, but
no, I think I'm the regional director of Madrid, HM Hospitales. HM Hospitales is a private group of hospitals. In Spain, we have 22 hospitals. That is only the acute care. It's not in the long term like Furio. We are completely different. And well, one of the things that we are doing many years ago is to combine in our hospitals the better assistance to the patient, and the better medical education and the better investigation. Okay. The last year we are a group, a little group in Spain, but the last year we have an impact in investigation, in medical writing, We have around 2,000, more than 2,000. Okay, and we are very focused in 3 areas. That is oncology, it's cardiology, and it's neuroscience. Okay, and well, and we are developing more and more things, but this is our core of investigation at that time. Okay, and well, we think in our mission of our business is to be one of the best institution of investigation and of adoption of new technology in medical healthcare. Okay, well, this is our mission. I think that is. I think that all the people in this room knows, not me, but Dr. Abarca. This is the LinkedIn, one of the most LinkedIn influencers that we have in Spain, and he's all the day saying that the importance of put the innovation, put the investigation at the bed of the patient.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I think leadership is key, and
Yeah.
in the next minutes we'll also tackle this point. But now I would like to ask you to describe or to give us an example of an innovative project on medtech that indeed caused a great impact for patients. And yes, do you want to start? And
I
we
have a
one
slide that is better
One
than a long
slide.
speech, maybe to explain this technological stuff. Yeah.
Great.
So I have 2 examples to provide you for thought. The first on the left is a technology that we developed that is called lens-free. So it's a microscope, very small microscope, that because we suppress the lens, then you can put it in handheld devices. So this technology has been licensed to a startup, one of our startups, and they use that to analyze the prothrombin rate, or the prothrombin. It's a blood test that they can do at the fingertip. It's very common in the point of care business. I know that Siemens has very versatile and very interesting products that they call Epoch, but I don't want to advertise about Siemens, but it's just to show that it's very nice kind of products, what we call the point of care. And what they are doing is that they just sample the blood at the fingertip, and you put the blood in the small chip here, that is a plastic chip with reagents inside, and then you got the result of the INR that is very useful for patients that are under anticoagulation treatments. What is interesting in this aspect is that they did that, but not for the hospitals, not for the primary care. They consider that beside the innovation itself, what was innovative was the way they are going to sell it. And they decided to sell it to the clinical labs, because I don't know if you know France, but in France, the clinical labs are very powerful organizations, and they dislike that something from any test goes outside from the lab. So they sold it as a prolongation of the clinical lab, saying, okay, usually the patient is coming to your lab, but now the lab will go to the patient. And so they define their market as retirement homes where people cannot move, and they are very happy to get that. So, for instance, they avoided a big issue with a man who has, I don't know, like 7 as an INR that is extremely high and very dangerous. So this is direct impact for patients. But the technology is not alone. You have to find the right way to produce the product to the market. And this is not the job of the researchers, but we have to think about it in advance. And the second example is a very recent development that took years to achieve, but it has been published in Nature this year. It's a complex system. I'm sorry, I just want to make it short, but you have 2 implants, one in the cortical, in the brain, in the skull, and one in the spine. And what we did at CLAT, that is the institute where I come from, is that we decided to develop this electrode that you put on the brain. to make this interface with brain. So these electrodes are not really miniaturized. I mean, this is a really a prototype, not the final product. And it decodes the neural signals. And what is interesting is that when someone, a paraplegic patient or a tetraplegic patient, intends to do a movement, then the neural signals are the same, that if he was doing the movement. So we decode this intention and then transfer through this digital bridge between the brain and the spine. We transfer this command, this order, to move the leg. And then it happens, we did this development with EPFL and a lot of Swiss partners and companies, and it works. And the patient is very happy now to be able to walk almost normally. He learns very fast, is very happy. So this is an example at the opposite of the spectrum that took us years to be achieved, because it's very long to make this prototype regulatory compliant and to have all the toxicity testing, etc. For implantable devices. It's tricky. It took years and a lot of money, but we think that this may have an impact on patients as well, so, and also for insurers and for a lot of conditions.
Great, thanks, Françoise. One question, when do you involve patients for your ideas in general? Maybe different, of course, from projects to projects, but are they involved also in the ideation of?
Yeah, we are not directly interact with patients. It's always the clinician who is interacting with patients. But for instance, in that case, we are developing other technologies, for instance, for wearables to measure heart pressure without the scuffless systems. And we are organizing focus groups with patients and healthcare professionals. This is very important because the healthcare professionals are there because they recommend it. We cannot do without the healthcare professional, nurses, physiotherapists, not only GPs and clinicians, but also all the network. So we do not interact concretely, directly with them, but we organize a kind of ecosystem of needs. We try to analyze the needs they have and the consequences for the patients. If it will be more comfortable, less comfortable, it's really very important.
Great, great to know. Santiago, if you want to share with us.
Well, I think that is a very complex meeting, but well, I tell you that we have 3 areas of development of specialization. That was the cardiology, oncology, and neuroscience. And well, I'm going to tell you about the neuroscience project because we have in 2014 we opened a new hospital. In this hospital we open also a unit that we call CINAC, that is a Neuroscience Integral Center, okay? And in this area of the hospital, we are working to one thing that could be very complex. The lemma is Stop Parkinson. Okay, we started the project with Dr. Obeso, that is a famous neurologist here in Spain or outside of Spain, that is dedicated many years in his professional career in Parkinson's disease. And well, we start introducing first of all the diagnostic technology. We introduced the first PET MRI in Spain. Okay, there are no more here in Spain when we introduced the technique. After that, we opened an translational center that have investigation on animal models. That we have animals like rodents and like monkeys. Okay, we have monkeys working on that because the because we are working in the neurodegenerative diseases. These diseases, the model, the animal model, more that is near to the human, it's the monkeys, and we are obligated to investigate with that. And after that, we introduce new technology to treat the Parkinson disease without needed of surgery. Because the Parkinson disease, you have many of the treatments are medical treatments, but there are a point of the time of the evolution of the disease that you have to, well, one of the things that you have to do is to be more aggressive and to treat with surgery. Okay, this is the DBS. That is a technology that is very new. But we are working to introduce, first of all, the HIFU, that is a high-intensity focal ultrasound. That this is a technology that allows you to do lesions in the nucleus of the brain without needed of open the skull. That is, it's a miracle for the patient, no? Because you don't have to stay 1 week or more in the hospital because you suffer a surgery. Okay, you have only 24 hours, and in 24 hours you are outside with a better and better improve of your symptoms. And after that, because we are working in stop Parkinson disease, we introduce other technologies that is related with ultrasounds, that is to use this technology to open the blood barrier, the cerebral blood barrier, to deploy selective drugs or viral or virus in the brain to improve the circuits that are in the Parkinson disease. Okay, and this is our side of innovation that this is designed from the bicycle research to the clinical research, and these are working together because we have 40 investigators in our center, and this investigation is related only to improve the health of our patients. Okay. And well, we have 2 New Englands, 2 neurologists. There are many big productions, scientific production in these years. Okay, and we use all the technology we have in our hospital. Okay, because we are the first group in the world that use the HIFU system to the Parkinson disease, to the treatment of the subthalamic nucleus. We are the first group that prove that if you open selective the blood barrier in the brain, you can deploy a drug inside the neurons. It's an apassionate process, but the problem is that you need many time, 80 years, more or less, and you need many money.
Yes.
That is the problem. The problem to adoption, the innovation in this we are talking about the other day is the willingness to pay this innovation, because
it's a long journey until we reach the patient. Good. Furio, could you also share with us before we will enter also in these barriers and obstacles, but first, if you could share with us an example.
So I will not speak now about the challenges and the problems. So the baseline, what we thought it was so easy, and it was not. But at the end, we succeeded. So I want to bring you a couple of examples. One very short, that is tele-rehabilitation, and the other one is robotic-assisted rehabilitation. So these 2 examples have a common denominator, that is the unmet need. in long-term care in general, including rehabilitation, we needed to inject some science because it was very artisanal, let's say, but it is in general, respect to oncology or cardiology or neurosciences that we also have. But in this part, we needed to inject some science. Data-based decisions and to get in rehabilitation, for instance, you have the rehabilitation expert that with his hands and exercises helps with patients. We needed more data about that to improve the patient journey. Why that? Because there is a global need that these people is living more and more, and long-term care is becoming the higher burden for the health systems and social systems. So in the first telerehabilitation was quite easy. That is, we wanted to reach people at home with rehabilitation. Usually, I don't know, an elderly people doesn't like to come to our centers maybe in 1 hour of trip and then 1 hour back to have 45 minutes of rehabilitation. If you are 80 years old, maybe you don't want to do it, so you just skip your treatments. And it's also a big burden for the families as well, because the welfare models are no more the same of some times ago. So we decided to reach, as you said, to reach them at home, and we put together, we made just a survey to find what was the technology that we needed for that. Compliant with CE certification at that time, and then MDR certification, because this is the other point. We are working at ITRLs or in innovation, so we need to be fully compliant with the certification. And we found a big company and two partners of the big company, big IT companies, holding one of the more certificated, let's say, cloud in the world. And the two partners of them, one of these partners already has some exert games to be used on premises in hospitals, and the other one had a very nice, already certificated televisit system without the exert games. So we just asked the three of them to sit, so a platform company plus two application companies, small companies, and a big company. So we asked them to sit around the same table with us. We described the need, we described the perspectives. We asked them to make their calculation about their business models, because of course they need a win-win position. And it was okay, because we started to integrate. They produced the layer, software layer, making the three parts, and the hardware parts, also the sensors, talk one each other. At the end, we developed a solution. We tested the solution in safe environments. Easy for us, because we can do from one center to another center, simulating being at home, and also acquiring the advice of the patients and their feedback. And then we proposed, I missed one point. That is, we started from the bill of material, from the following things. The bill of material should be equivalent to what was the reimbursement for a therapist going home. So we started from something not to force the national healthcare system. So we wanted to enter softly into the national healthcare system reimbursements. Otherwise, it would be a mess. I mean, fantastic. They would say, that's fantastic idea, but unfortunately, we don't have the money. So we don't ask you more money than this. We ask you to authorize us to use this system that is CE market to take care of the patients at home with the same fee of reimbursement that you already give us when a person goes home, okay? And we did it. We made it test to people even of the regional healthcare system, and they approved the fee. They approved the reimbursement in Lombardy, so it was in an experimental way from the administrative point of view. So of course, minor problems about signing, signing the presence, the fact that the delivery has been done of the therapy, but at the end, now it's a reality. Okay, so this is the easy one, and probably it's more than enough. The other one about robotics is a little bit more complicated, but there the focus, I do not repeat the old story, but the focus there that is common with this one is to assess the, let me say, marketability of the market access process for industries and the added value for healthcare providers and patients. And we decided to adopt, after the HTA, the Health Technology Assessment typical methods, to choose the different robots. The point was how to assess the added value. We decided to have a value-based healthcare approach, so measuring value, outcome over cost, over additional cost of implementation, that is organizational impact. And to do so, we add to modeling, that's why I'm happy to be a physicist, to model the processes and to simulate the processes beforehand, to optimize the processes and minimize the impact on the organization. And again, this was our idea. Then when we will speak about the challenges, I'll tell you.
Great, no, thanks. Yeah, we are start to hear some terms, wordings that I think we were tackling the next session about challenges and obstacles that we reach once we are developing the technologies before reaching the patients. We heard about some barriers, but already some mentioning about solution, but we're talking about solution afterwards. Focusing in the challenges that you will meet from research, from the transition, making the gap between industry and research, and also until we reach for the patients. So I'd like you to mention, you can intervene between each other to make it a dialogue, but if you want Françoise to start from the beginning.
I think that the main obstacle we have to fight against is the cost. That, as you said, at the end, it's always how does it cost? And of course, when we are developing miniaturization technologies like that, it's always to get access to a lower cost than it was. The problem is that the semiconductor industry that is providing to the medtech these technologies, miniaturized, they are used only to high volumes of production. So the problem with medtech, it's always small volumes. They are not really, to be honest, really interested to provide this industry. Now it changes because the wearable market is developing, even if the clinicians are relatively not confident at all, and they are right about these wearables. I think that the semiconductor industry is starting to change a little bit, but the cost is always a critical issue that we have to take into account in the very, very early stages. It's not obvious because the final product will be so different from the prototype, but it's a problem that we have, the economics.
Yeah, and who by the end is paying also, no, the cost and the payment. Yeah.
I think the cost is obvious. It's an issue, but I think that the team, okay, the persons, the scientific, I think that this is one of the most important things that you have to consider in a development process, because, well, when we started with all of integral centers, we introduced in our teams people that are working outside of Spain that we are reintroducing in our market, okay? Because the problem is that here in Spain, to investigate is very, very complex, and there are not there are very difficult if you are in the private sector, because this is my sector. Okay, in the public sector is the same, because you have the problem that you don't have money to pay to the investigators like in other countries. Okay, like in the US or something like that. And well, I think that, for example, we have we needed in our team a physic that is an expert in one specific thing, that is the absorption of the energy in the tissues. And this is your area. And we don't have here this type of person. We have to search this person outside of Spain, okay? And this is one of the things that is very, very complex, because we have the Spanish legislation for this is very helpful for me, because we have to interview around 30 physics and say, this is no sense. We don't have a physics like that here. We have a candidate that is outside of Spain. And after that, with 30 interviews, with many people, many conversations with the public authorities, well, they say, okay, this person is for you, but it's very, very complex. I think that it's a problem. No? The problem is how you have the better human capital in your teams. Okay.
Good. Talent. Talent
Yes.
is something that is an issue also for industry. There's a huge gap of talent in Europe in general. Yeah, because for new technologies, we need new types of profiles to hire for the production, but also for the development. And this is something that we are, reaching. Mm-hmm. Furio?
In our experience, the problem was the title of this round table, that is the adoption of the innovation. The challenge more than the problem. The adoption, that is, you can produce fantastic solutions and then they're not uptaken by the system because of different reasons. One, in our experience, one was people. Our people or people in our interlocutors like industry and like policymakers and reimbursement agencies. So people do not talk each other, they do not talk the same language. So some of us in this circle de la Sanidad, in this circle, let's say, in this team, in this ecosystem of healthcare, some of us has to learn the language of the others and to make a cultural translator. Otherwise, it's a mess because everybody is still stuck on their positions. For the payers is to save savings. For the industry, of course, the two big drivers that are regulation and margins. And for us, yes, the patient is at the center, and for researchers, the idea is wonderful. And these are the four, positions that do not talk one each other. So, for instance, at the beginning, when we introduced robotics, our therapist started to say, hey guys, you want robots because you want to fire us, because robots can do our work. But really, we had strikes yes, with people telling you want to fire us. We say, no, we don't want to fire. We want you to become a superhero of therapy. That is, you can do more because we provide you with some additional tools. So we started to educate, 2, 3, or 4 of them, and they have been the cultural mediators towards the others. So when managers or scientists start to talk to people on field, it's very difficult to communicate. So you have to everybody, I mean. So you have to talk the same language. And this is, the other challenge is timing, because the time of innovators that sometimes are confused with researchers, and this is not the same thing. This timing is sometimes too long for the other interlocutors, like industry, that needs faster times and I mean, smaller minimum data set to be communicated, just to go to the straight point. So even the behavior, the usage of time, of the urgency of providing good solution better than optimum solution. You can think of optimum solution in the long term, but good solution soon is very important. So these are big challenges that we had to face.
Interesting, and what you said about the technologies is not is stealing the job from professionals. It's just making them focus in the high value actions or tasks that they have to develop, and then leave the technologies to take on the automation and this type of activities. Françoise, you mentioned about regulation before.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, I didn't have time to develop that, but of course regulation, it goes with the market access. We are not able to market any product if it's not compliant to the regulation. And medtech, it has changed, and now it's more complicated. And so we have a very big effort that we did, and it's not obvious in a research center, to try to understand the regulatory aspects of our future products. And this is not really obvious, but we try to do that. Of course, you ask a researcher to make a file for regulatory approval. They say, no, it's not my job. No, I don't want to, please. Oh, this is boring, please. Paper and paper. But at least they did it, because for the implantable electrodes we saw, they had to work on, 600 pages file to make it acceptable for the clinical trial, not for commercialization. But so it's really a big issue. But if we are working with industry, don't worry. They remind us that you have to be regulatory compliant. It's what we are doing, actually. It's really to be at the triangle between the clinicians, the industry, and the technology. So, yeah.
Great, thanks. Are we done with obstacles? Should we move to the more positive aspects and solutions?
No, obstacles are numerous, but if you just focus on obstacles, you don't work and you don't get up in the morning.
Exactly.
So it's really try to forget about the obstacles. What we appreciate in the healthcare sector is that people are really committed, because what they want to do is to improve the situation of patients and healthcare providers, because we are talking only about patients, but healthcare providers have a huge responsibility. And if we can just make it lighter, or gain time and gain administrative procedures, and we were talking yesterday about artificial intelligence, and this is made for that. This is not made for the medical decision. This is made for the administrative things. So yes, for that, it's really important to get committed, to think that we will help the society. And we have 250 researchers involved in healthcare. Once they have been in this sector, they don't want to leave. They just want to stay here. They do not want to go back to automotive, to aerospace, to electronics, to telecommunications. They don't want. They just want to stay there. So I think it's one thing that makes me really happy.
Great. Just taking the wave of the positivity.
Yeah.
Let's focus a bit on the solutions, how to mitigate these obstacles that we mentioned here, and what are you doing from your side, or maybe that you are seeing that it's being done, but so far you couldn't implement in your organization. So if we could just go to this solution perspective of Santiago, if you want.
Well, I don't know. I think that, well, my field is the acute care okay? And the problem is that I'm all the day viewing problems of patient problems, and we have to mitigate the problems. I ever, to my non-medical friends, I say that the medicine don't cure patients. They mitigate more and more of the very complex process. And I think that the problem is when you start projects of innovation in medicine and healthcare, the problem is, I think that Furio says something like that you can do more things with less money, but too much people. The problem is that you can improve more people than you have, okay, probably. Okay, because if you use the technology in the correct way, you can improve the health of the population quickly than that if you don't implement the innovation. I think that is one of the things, and this is my experience. My experience is that you can see patients that they have 20 years that can eat a soup, and in 2 hours they can eat a soup. And I think this is the way. You have to improve the general population, but you can do more quickly than the system can do. And this is one of the things that I think we can do more for the population that we can do. We are doing now. Okay, but the most positive effect of that is that the people that you can treat, that you can manage, you are doing very well with that. I'm sure that Furio, with the robotics in the home of the patients or in the centers that they do robotics, can do better work than if you don't know, if you don't think in that. And I am doing things that improve the health of my patients better than in other contexts. But I think that we have to pray to all the world to say adopt the innovation, because you need it. You need it, because you have to improve our population. Okay.
Totally. Furio, you mentioned timing. You mentioned about the talent and human perspective. What are you doing for overcome these barriers?
1 year ago, I risked to be fired by my organization. Yes, more than 1 year ago, I risked to be fired because my boss in my organization, strangely, is the scientific director. That is a nonsense, because I mean, innovation and research should be parallel or in series. But the point is that at that time, the scientific director was a former ministry. So she just came to my office and she said, "Who are you?" Okay, I am the boss now, so I am the research and innovation. I say, okay, perfect, I have a family, so good. But in the last year, we were able to make, I mean, she's no more there, but no, she's alive. I'm not confessing anything.
You didn't kill her.
Dirty. She's alive. She just changed her job. But no, we decided to restructure our unit because I understood that there was a problem of internal communication about what is innovation in healthcare. And instead of being theoretical, we wanted to demonstrate the results and to make our main stakeholders, internal stakeholders, that is medical doctors and patients, to feel to really feel the advantages of having such a unit. So what we did, we create a unit, a service unit, that is my directorate, with two arms. One is innovation engineering, and one is innovation outreach. What we do. This is a practical things that I want to share with you, because you also have hospitals everywhere. So if you want to do innovation, please try to think of something similar if you want, and we can share experiences. Innovation engineering means practically a medical doctor or the director of a medical department comes to us and say, hey guy, I have a problem because I want to do such and such thing. I would like, for instance, for neuropsychiatric children, I want to digitize the how to acquire the ray figure. That is a typical test for neuropsychiatric children, because we know that this could be related to an important disease, But we want to digitize it. How can we do it? If they ask the researcher, their researcher, they find incredible exotic solutions in MATLAB that is not scalable up, okay? Fantastic, but it's not scalable up. If they go to the information system, they say, normally they deal with cloud, with servers, with printers, and with whatever. So they have no interlocutors. So we decided to be the interlocutors. Mm-hmm. They come to us. They help them first in analysis of the problem, the potential project, in scouting of existing technologies, because make or buy, maybe you can buy it. It already exists. Second, we help them with impact assessment. That is, if you do it, what are the consequences? If you don't do it, what are the consequences? On a value-based perspective. Mm-hmm. And third, if needed, and just if needed, we can help them with a little group of engineers. We can help them to develop the layer of integration of the existing components, not to reinvent the wheel. Existing components, they have to be integrated among them and with the hospital information systems. This is for engineering. Mm-hmm. But then we need culture. The other way to mitigate the problem is culture. That's why we created the second arm, that is the innovation outreach. What we do in innovation outreach? A continuous observatory on technologies and industrial networking. That is, we enlarge a group, a sort of, let me say, industrial liaison group with some industries interested in our, probably in our volumes first, and then in our topics. Then we have this continuous observatory. The second things that this arm do is exploitation models and cost effectiveness model. And the third, the last one, is policy observatory, information about policy. That is, I hired 1 year ago a young girl from Belgium, from Brussels, where in a local organization she was a policy officer. So now in my group I have a policy officers. For instance, she just read the whole AI Act that is not yet in force, but it's going to be in force. She read the whole AI Act, she resumed, she summarized it, and now she explained it to all the components researchers, AI lab, and administrators, just to have an idea of where we are going. So, total 10 people. Mm-hmm. But with these 10 people, now we are the intermediator between the various components that we have inside and outside our innovation.
Doing the translation in
exactly.
the meaning of
so
languages, right?
Very practical aspects.
Of course.
Izabel, I just wanted also, because it's the framework of this day, to express also some experience we have with the French government that fostered some experimental developments in territorial areas like remote medicine or telemedicine, and we have benefited, and also with our startups, some very good experiences in France that consist in experimenting innovative technologies in real life. I mean, putting together all the stakeholders, the retirement homes. It was the example that I showed on the point of care. Retirement homes, clinical labs, local authorities, social care, companies, of course, and they all joined their forces together to develop this experimentation that was local territorial experimentation, and it was reimbursed. So because of the cost that I said about the obstacles and so on. So for the startups, it was very interesting because they were ensured that the product will be reimbursed temporarily, not forever, but it was really good and it worked. So I think it's a good experience that maybe I can connect you to the people who are doing that in France if you are interested, but I think it's one of the ways to remove obstacles. Maybe not in all cases, okay? Because for hospitals and critical care or whatever, it's not really working like that. But digital health and how to provide care, home care, etc., it can be very useful.
Yeah, no, interesting. And we see that even Furio mentioned about this pilot for the regulation and then for reimbursement is what we're seeing that is working, right? Sandboxes also to test the regulation, exactly. So there are some trends around that we see that is a way for overcoming the barriers, at least in this controlled environment. And then, okay, we have metrics, we have the KPIs here, showing that this the adoption would be fast and it would be implemented properly, right? So it's what we have been seeing. There are some ingredients that we are hearing here, and I see that the public and private partnership is key. From one side, covering the whole value chain in the table of ideation, all the stakeholders, but also the components from public and private. And I'd like to ask about you, if we focus in the industry, what they can do for help in this way for the adoption of the product and the new technologies they are developing or coming also from startup. But what
I
do you
think that they can help us, but we can help more to the industry that they can help us, because we have the data, okay? And I think that in the next year, the world is the data. I don't know if the artificial intelligence is the future or not, because I think that we are in the beginning of the artificial intelligence. Instead, you have the GPT-4 and more or less, but I think that the hospitals, the healthcare system have many data that unfortunately is not a very structured data. And we have, well, in our group, we are working with data many years ago, and we are working in system that structure the medical language. That is not easy because the doctors are, and I'm doctor, but are people that write less than you want if you want to exploit the data, okay? Because I think that we have, I have a theory that is the medical language is a defensive language for the doctors with the population. We don't want that the population understand us. And we put the Kawasaki syndrome or something like that, because you need to avoid that you don't know what is the problem of the patient. But we are working in that, and I think that one of the issues in the next years is what we are doing with the data, and many industries are referring to us saying, "You have data?" and we have data. And they need the data. Well, I have now, this morning, they put in my desk a project with a pharma that is to learn about the process of something like that, well, because they need to learn that. And I worked many years ago in the pharma industry, and you understand when you work in this type of industry that they need the data to sell the drugs and to do the marketing process and many things. And we have to put this on the desk, because the healthcare system have many data, and you have to show to the industry and say, well, we have the data and we have an idea, and we can deploy this data. With this data, we can search the best thing for the idea. It's not only to the clinical process, because if you think it does, you say, well, you are in the oncology area and say, how many patients they have with lung cancer? This is an easy query. But if you say with the lung cancer, with these characteristics, with this type of, it's not too easy in this moment, no? And I think that, well, I want to introduce that in this area, because the adoption innovation is technical, is only the data, or is all together. I think that is all together. It's not only the technology, and no, I think that we have to integrate all the information of the healthcare to improve the health of the people.
Yeah, no, totally agree. I think, and with the European regulation, the EU health data space, which should be approved by the Parliament next year, mid 2024, we'll see that it would be really necessary to implement the regulation. It is now it's at a really high level. To implement it, it will be tricky, and we'll have to count also with industry and how to exploit it in a proper way and take all the advantage, the profit, but also the value from this data. And here from Spain, we are in a good position because the level of digitalization of the healthcare system is high. So we have to take advantage, but we have several barriers.
It's high, but it's not only high, because we have our information systems in healthcare. It's like a paper. It's not more. It's like you write and no more. You don't have many structured data. This is the problem.
We are compared to the other European member states. We are in a good position, but still too many things to do. But if we are talking about medtech, medical devices and so on. Yes, Françoise, I would ask you, what is the role from industry also
to tell you that actually EIT Health is a good public-private partnership, right? Yeah. So you are coming from a public-private partnership. You can witness that it works, right?
Yes.
Okay. Even if the public part
is decreasing. To say, but
public part is decreasing, private part is increasing, but at the end, it's okay. Actually, yesterday you talked about the public-private partnership and the suspicion. It's always the same story in France as well. As soon as the healthcare delivery is concerned, it's very suspicious to talk about public-private partnerships. In France, the same as in Spain, I guess. But talking about research and innovation, it's a model that is working for years. It's working very well because the risk is shared. So if the public says, we are taking the risk, and the private says, we are also taking our part of the risk, then it works. But it's the basic roots of the research. Yeah. So it works. In Europe, we have a very good initiative, that is Innovative Health Initiative, that is managed by the industry associations, FPR for the pharma, MedTech Europe for the MedTech, and some others, vaccines, biotech, etc. And it works relatively well, right? It starts, but can improve, but at least it's okay.
Results.
And in France as well, we have for research, we have very good public-private partnership instruments that are really working very well. Why it is not possible to do that for healthcare delivery? I will not explain that because it's not my expertise, but just to show that in research, as soon as you respect the sharing of the risks, it works.
Great. Completely agree. I cannot say otherwise. Furio, if you can share also a bit your view with us.
Yeah, you said that industry can help us. I would, in our field that is long-term care, I would do the opposite. That is, industry could accept to be helped by us. Because long-term care, in long-term care, yes, data are important, but let's just put, just for a second, aside data, contradicting what I said before. It was our initial aim. But the point is that in long-term care, the procedures are not complicated as in acute phase, but they are complex. The difference is that complex implies non-linear phenomena, because in long-term care you have a lot of different universes interacting among them. Motivation of the patient, motivation of the families, all this is super important as the medical treatments for the uptake of innovation and for the success of, I guess you know very well as a medical doctor. So the procedures and the protocols are complex and must also be, are not as crystallized as they are in good practices of acute medicine, okay? So it means that if, and only if, industry, especially large companies, are interested prospectively to get this market, that is the long-term care market, that was not interesting for them in the past because the margins are very low. But now the volumes are exploding. So if they are interested in that, probably they should accept to sit around the same table with some healthcare providers, the one that I call smart healthcare providers, because they speak the languages I was mentioning before. They try to speak the other languages, to sit around the table and to decide together which is the way to interact in the healthcare ecosystem. Large industries, small and medium enterprises that have a completely different role in this world, because they are the main source of innovation, the small and medium enterprises. So large industries, the big ones, the big brothers, then the small and medium enterprise that have the ideas more, closer to the market, some large healthcare providers in long-term care that know very well challenges and procedures to be applied and the pitfalls, potential pitfalls, and then, of course, the regulators. But it's better to go to the regulators when the three mentioned have already agreed on some specific point to be given to the regulators. Why I say to the regulators at the end? Because even in long-term care, especially in long-term care, that is mostly at home, or going from hospital to home, or to, unfortunately, to residential places and nursing homes. Especially there, the digitization and even data AI and whatever will become so important that regulators are still in a foggy day and they don't know what to do exactly in this field. So let's sit around the same table and discuss about that. If industry is interested in long-term care. In 2 weeks, I will have an event in Milano, exactly with MedTech Europe, with someone from the pharma industry as well, and representative of small and medium enterprises and of regulators, at least Italian regulators, exactly about that, because this is a reality check for our research innovation. That is, we do translational research. We want to go towards a harbor of real medicine, but we don't know which is the shape of this harbor, including industries. So we should start to talk.
Yeah, no, and I think it's really important to bring in and sharing with all the employees, right? The trends, and also coming experts from other similar institutions or not, to complement. And
but the question that the if and only if is something that I would like to reverse the room now and to listen. I know it is impossible probably, but to listen from people from industry. Are you thinking of long-term care market, and in which terms, or not? Because it's not because you are bad, but just because maybe it's still unsafe for your plans, and you just want to stay at the window and look in a more conventional way what happens, or you are thinking about this new market, emerging, enormous market. This is a question that I ask you guys, but you can send me a message if you don't want to spend your time today.
Maybe we'll leave a few minutes also for question and answers, and maybe we can also collect some input in this sense. And definitely, yeah, from EIT Health, we are having those conversations and promoting those conversations and mobilizing the system, because it's the way that we are aligned, and then the new technologies could be faster adopted and so on. Not only we do have these programs, and we are funding projects, and there if you check, you see several examples, and also from those institutions there that are indeed focusing in the last tram of the innovative process. So indeed reaching to the patients and the hospitals and healthcare systems. So it's something that it's working, and is our mission also in this sense. We have a few minutes before we go to question and answers here, and I would like to do another round from your side for a few advices maybe on what in summary. What do you recommend for this adoption, for adopting this new innovative solutions on the organizations, on healthcare systems, and how? What do you can recommend in a summary?
For me, we are relatively far from healthcare systems, but we are contributing to it, so it's very difficult to answer to that question. But as a conclusion, I would say be international, really, because for companies, the market is international. It's not Spain or France or Germany. It's all about the global market in global market first and European market second. So to be international by spirit is really good. And the clinicians they are sharing their results. And the companies are not that much, except inside the company, but outside the company, it's not that much. So I don't know, maybe for me, it's the main message, really be international.
A good one. Santiago.
Well, I think that the adoption is very difficult, but well, we're talking about the collaboration, and I think that we are now we need work together. We did that. This is a partnership, not you finance me and you forget me. No, I think that you have to work together. You have to work in the. I think that is very interesting that the projects are international, not only from a country or from a region, because this is stupid, because you need to work in many sites, not only in your site, because this is the thing that you don't have if you do science. If well, many years ago, I have a relationship with an acupuncture. These people that puts needles, and they say, "Oh no, we don't have to share our data because the people can understand what are we doing." I say, "This is the normal science." No, I think that we have to work together. Okay, but the industry, the pharma, the hospitals, the Furio and his people, all the people have to work together. It's no sense not to do that.
Great. Furio?
And for me, just to reconnect to what I said, that the situation of healthcare now is going towards an unprecedented asset. With this long-term care, I mean, the acute care still is there, but because it works well, we go towards the chronicity and long-term care. It's unprecedented in the history of humanity. So I just would like to remind that the reality check, more than on immediate margins that are, of course, interesting, is on your father, your mother, your sons, what you would like to have with your family, what is the health care that you would like to have in this unprecedented situation. This is the reality check, even for a successful marketing.
Great.
Not only for human, let's say, purposes, but
Reality check of the stakeholders on board and collaborating at even international level, no? I think it's the recipe then. I'll leave the floor for questions if you have. We cannot see you that much, but we could open the floor, or even we could talk about the long-term care, if there is someone to comment on that.
answer.
But if not, we have someone in the back.
This is a question for Furio, but I'm totally agree with Françoise.
Sorry, first, if you could introduce yourself.
Sorry,
then
my name is Manuel Castro. I'm from el Círculo de Sanidad.
Okay, thanks.
And this, what do you think is the main point within regulatory issues and CE marking in Europe? Because pilots sounds really, really good and sounds really nice, but you can't transpose those experiences to every single medical device in the market. And the main problem and the main barrier are regulatory issues, because it's obviously it's cost, and the second time, and it doesn't matter if you have thousands and thousands of billions, it's time. And one of the biggest problems is many of those ideas come from small, medium-sized companies that doesn't have time and doesn't have money. So what do you think, Furio, about regulatory, and how do you think we can strengthen the time and solve that barriers?
Yeah, I said before something about the healthcare ecosystem, that is to accept that every stakeholder in the ecosystem makes the things that he can make better. So, as you mentioned, small and medium enterprises, as in most cases, the big ideas for innovation, but they don't have time because the money is so tight for them, and they don't have money. That is the same thing, more or less. So this should change the relationship between the big companies and the small and medium enterprises. This is something that, for instance, Matic Europe faced in the last couple of years, because they were struggling about a new role of small and medium enterprises in their club. Because, they had the trade association of small and medium enterprises, but not the small and medium enterprises themselves. So they decided to create a new way to include them in MedTech Europe Club, and they're coming slowly, carefully. Maybe they don't trust. They don't trust now, but they're coming slowly. So they're slowly succeeding. And at the same time, what we do as healthcare providers with, let's say, a high level of potential innovation is what we should do. We are ready to think to integration before thinking to recreation of something at low TRL. A lot of technology components are already there, already commercial in the world, and they're not assembled into solutions, viable solutions. So taking into account this new kind of vision probably could shorten the time and the money to share the regulatory burden. I don't know if I answered what you said, so what you asked. So I think that there is no easy solution for a, sorry, I cannot see it. No easy solution for a single actor of the ecosystem.
No, there is not a single solution, and I agree with you. If you put all together, it's going to be easier for every single one in the market. But the problem is many times when you mix things, for example, medical devices, and you put artificial intelligence on it, the classification is going to change. So
Sure.
for sure, you're going to make a new CE mark. There is a new clinical trial, and that's money. So, sorry.
Okay, but it's
Well, I'm agree with you, and you have solved my question. But the main problem is that when you put things together, for example, if you're talking about medical devices, and you put a medical devices and you put artificial intelligence on it, probably the classification is going to change for sure, and that means new CE mark, new clinical trials. That the main problems is legal problem. There are two main problems. It's legal problems, and the second one is bureaucracy. Because, you know, when you go to take money out from Europe, it's not the same thing to fill in and make all the fulfillment with all the papers for big companies that have people for make fulfillment than for medium-sized companies that they don't have people to make all the paper and to assume all the bureaucracy that's needed on it.
yeah, sure.
This is for sure, but unfortunately we cannot change these political decisions. I think that the SMEs are now quite supported, depending on the governments, but I think they are quite supported by their local associations. And for sure, for these new products that will integrate several dimensions, the role of the people who are doing this innovation together with these SMEs, for us, it's to make it really ready to be CE marked as much as possible. And sometimes it's very frustrating for the researchers because they would like to use some new materials or whatever, but they can't because they know that it will take 2 years more to be CE marked. So they try to be reasonable and to put the innovation somewhere else and to listen to the SMEs and to the constraints of the cost of the workforce, etc. But for sure, there is no magic solution to that. I really think this is, unfortunately, strength and weakness of European companies is there.
Great. Thanks for your question. Any other burning question? We cannot see
Or burning answers.
answers. Not sure, but yeah. I think no, we don't have. So
We
we
haven't seen
can finish here. So thank you so much for this fruitful conversation. I hope you had enjoyed, also I did. So thanks for coming, and I appreciate much your inputs.
Thank you very much to you.
Thank you.
An applause
all of
for
you.
them.
Thank you.